Russia launched a major offensive against Ukraine. FPV drones, Javelin, mines, HIMARS, and precision artillery turned the assault into a disaster. What happens when an armored unit tries to attack Ukrainian positions and falls into an ambush? We've gathered footage with detailed insights into the operation to bring you a solid analysis. Let's dive into the details together. Stay tuned. A group of Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers formed a convoy to attack Ukraine. The convoy consisted of 7 vehicles, 3 tanks and 4 armored personnel carriers. After advancing for a while, they regrouped in an abandoned settlement. Ukrainian forces were ready and watching the Russian convoy. As this tank moved forward, it was struck by a Javelin missile from Ukrainian troops. A close look from the drone camera clearly shows the tank being destroyed. Despite this, Russian forces continued to advance. Soon, Ukrainian forces fired a second Javelin missile. The target was hit with pinpoint accuracy, resulting in a large explosion. Ukrainian troops didn't stop there. A third Javelin was fired, once again hitting its target and destroying it. One of the Russian APCs, witnessing these strikes, attempted to escape. However, Ukrainian forces fired an RPG before it could get away, striking the vehicle. After the attacks, one remaining Russian tank tried to retreat while firing back at Ukrainian positions. Ukrainian troops immediately counterattacked and hit the tank. The explosion caused significant damage, leaving the tank unable to withstand another strike. Not far from this tank, another previously hit Russian tank exploded, triggering a massive blast. You can observe the intensity of the explosion from the size of the fireball and the shrapnel scattered around. Believing it had escaped the assault, a Russian APC moved toward a wooded area. It stopped to deploy Russian infantry. The infantry immediately launched an attack. Ukrainian forces prepared to neutralize them. Meanwhile, the Russian APC began to retreat. But before it could escape, Ukrainian troops successfully destroyed it. Ukrainian forces always prioritize destroying Russian vehicles, as they do not want the infantry to retreat from the area. The APC was completely blown apart. Russian forces are now attempting to strike Ukrainian troops with over 100 armored vehicles. They aim to break through Ukrainian defenses by attacking from multiple directions. Do you think this Russian assault will succeed? Let's analyze it together. Ukrainian forces used fragmentation munitions to score a direct hit and destroy a Russian tank. Next, a Russian APC was sent forward for reconnaissance but was immediately targeted and disabled by Ukrainian forces. Simultaneously, Ukrainian artillery put pressure on the Russian convoy, striking another APC. One Russian tank, trying to avoid artillery strikes, took an alternate route but hit a landmine. The next group of Russian tanks advanced directly into a minefield. It didn't take long before the first explosion occurred. An APC stopped after the blast, but a nearby tank continued forward and triggered another mine, causing a chain explosion. Ukrainian forces then continued their attack with HIMARS strikes. One of the tank groups managed to reach the front line. The lead tank had mine-clearing capabilities, leading the convoy. As Ukrainian forces maintained their attacks, they hit an APC in the convoy. The disabled APC blocked the path for other Russian vehicles. One of the Ukrainian defensive positions was located here. A Russian APC, not wanting to wait, tried to move forward and hit a mine. The others attempted the same, but were also destroyed by mines. Ukrainian forces seized the opportunity created by the stalled Russian convoy and intensify their attacks. Using artillery units, they strike enemy forces. Following these assaults, panic spreads within the Russian convoy, making things even worse. Due to the panic, Russian armored vehicles attempt to flee the area but hit additional mines, causing further losses among their own forces. Some vehicles, although not completely destroyed, are rendered immobile. Ukrainian forces immediately intervene to finish them off. As a result of these attacks, Russian forces suffer significant losses in both tanks and armored personnel carriers. Ukrainian troops continue their offensive, systematically destroying Russian armored vehicles. Severely damaged Russian vehicles are also taken out by drone strikes. Mines scattered throughout the region prevent Russian vehicles from retreating. Elsewhere, another Russian convoy attempting an assault is detected. The convoy consists of an SUV, a truck, an MTLB, and an APC. A Ukrainian drone operator initiates the attack, first targeting and destroying the SUV. Then, another drone drops a bomb on the MTLB. A third drone hits the Russian APC and the ammunition on board ignites, intensifying the explosion. As the remaining vehicles are also loaded with munitions, the attacks lead to massive explosions. Another Russian vehicle continues to advance, unaware that it is being tracked by a drone. The Ukrainian operator follows the vehicle closely and scores a direct hit. After the explosion, the Russian tank halts, and Ukrainian forces deploy a second drone, which enters through an exposed section and delivers a precise strike. These types of hits ensure the vehicle is effectively destroyed. Russian vehicles separated from the main convoy continue to move erratically across the region. One of these, a Russian APC, becomes the next target for Ukrainian drone operators. The drone hits the vehicle head-on, causing it to stop, followed by a powerful explosion. Depending on the impact zone, drones may require multiple strikes to destroy Russian armored vehicles. However, due to the ammunition inside, sometimes a single hit is enough for total destruction. One Russian vehicle is immobilized in the middle of a minefield. Ukrainian forces take advantage of this, striking it with a drone. A second attack follows shortly after. The vehicle is engulfed in flames and eventually explodes in a massive blast. Here is a close-up view of an APC where the internal munitions detonate after being struck. Ukrainian forces successfully repel Russian convoys. Stationary Russian vehicles are picked off one by Ukrainian drone operators. Some vehicles are found abandoned, likely due to earlier attacks without any direct engagement. Ukrainian forces eliminate all Russian vehicles in the area, whether they are moving or not. While conducting reconnaissance operations, Ukrainian troops discover a Russian missile storage facility. According to reports, Russia had been supplying this site with munitions for some time. Ukrainian forces wait for the right moment to strike. Once the location is confirmed, the HIMARS team prepares and launches 2 strikes, hitting the target with precision. You can see how effective the attack is. The second missile hits the same spot. As a result, all of Russia's stored ammunition is destroyed. The Ukrainian recon team also spots a Russian Buk air defense system. The vehicle is monitored for a while until it comes to a stop. Once stationary, Ukrainian troops confirm the coordinates and carry out a HIMARS strike. This recently deployed Buk air defense system is instantly destroyed by Ukrainian forces. Russia's Buk air defense system can be seen as a modern reflection of the military power inherited from the Soviet Union. This short to medium-range missile system is specifically designed to target low and medium-altitude threats. Despite its technologically advanced appearance, the use of this system has raised significant concerns, both in terms of international law and civilian safety. Within the context of Russia's aggressive actions against Ukrainian territory, Buk systems have been employed particularly in occupied regions to suppress civilians and maintain air superiority. The system's mobility has allowed Russian forces to constantly relocate within occupied areas, hindering the effectiveness of the Ukrainian Air Force's operations. In the face of this threat, the Ukrainian military has shown strong resistance, successfully countering these Soviet-era systems with both unmanned aerial vehicles and advanced Western-supplied weaponry. Although modernized versions of the Buk system continue to play an active role on the battlefield, Ukraine's growing technological capabilities and increasing support from the West have steadily improved its ability to neutralize such threats. Meanwhile, a Russian Grad MLRS, multiple launch rocket system, prepares to launch an attack. Operating alone in the region, the vehicle initiates its assault by firing a series of rockets. This action immediately reveals its position. In response, Ukrainian forces dispatch unmanned aerial vehicles to the area. After completing its strike, the Russian vehicle attempts to retreat rapidly. However, Ukrainian troops pursue it with a first-person view drone and successfully strike the target. The resulting explosion is massive, completely destroying the Russian Grad MLRS. April 7, 2025. The 82nd Air Assault Brigade detected unusual activity near the village of Guevo, located in Russia's Kursk region. According to the analysis of advanced reconnaissance teams, a small Russian infantry unit was attempting to use the abandoned houses in the area as shelter. The soldiers were moving cautiously, entering the buildings one by one and trying to take up positions inside. However, this movement did not go unnoticed by Ukrainian forces. Reconnaissance elements of the 82nd Air Assault Brigade monitored the entire process step by step. Ukrainian command made a strategic decision to wait until all Russian soldiers had entered the structure. Timing was critical. The target had to be completely encircled. When the moment arrived, Ukrainian artillery units received the coordinates and initiated the strike. The first shell landed directly on target, hitting the center of the structure and triggering a massive explosion. A barrage of subsequent strikes turned the area into a living hell. Many Russian soldiers were killed instantly, while the survivors scattered in panic, attempting to take cover in nearby buildings. However, their efforts were not enough to escape. Ukrainian forces continued the operation, neutralizing every remaining Russian element in the area one by one. This swift and decisive action in the village of Guevo once again demonstrated Ukraine's tactical superiority on the battlefield. April 8, 2025. The Strix unit of the 47th Mechanized Brigade identified new Russian positions in the villages of Demidivka and Popavka, located in Ukraine's eastern Belgorod region. As observed in previous operations, after intense clashes, Russian infantry often becomes separated from their comrades and attempt to take shelter in abandoned buildings in the area. This has become one of their most common survival tactics on the battlefield. Footage obtained during this operation clearly shows some Russian soldiers hiding in abandoned houses within the villages. Anticipating this possibility, Ukrainian forces continuously conduct reconnaissance and surveillance in the region. Thanks to thermal imaging, UAVs, and intelligence gathered from local collaborators, such hidden shelters are immediately detected. The Strix unit launched a strike using FPV drones targeted directly at one of these shelters. The house being used as a hideout was struck with pinpoint accuracy. The explosion was so powerful that the structure was completely destroyed, and the Russian soldiers inside were instantly neutralized. Footage recorded by the drone clearly revealed both the precision and impact of the strike. The limited number of hiding spots in the area forces Russian troops into increasingly dangerous and exposed positions. One particularly striking detail was the attempt by a Russian soldier to hide inside a water canal to survive. However, Ukrainian drone operators noticed the movement. An FPV drone was directed into the canal and executed a locked-on strike. The force of the explosion launched the soldier out through the opposite end of the canal. With this operation, all shelters used by Russian forces in the area were systematically destroyed by Ukrainian troops. April 8, 2025. The 110th Mechanized Brigade is combating Russian infantry with drones in the villages of Skudne and Novocheretuvate in the Donetsk region. The villages of Skudne and Novocheretuvate, located in the Donetsk region, have become key points of intense conflict amid Russia's ongoing occupation attempts. Their proximity to the front lines and their position at the center of military activity in the region make these villages both symbolically and strategically significant. Skudne, located towards the Volnovakha direction, is considered a critical crossing point in the Russian forces' plans to penetrate deeper into Donetsk by bypassing the southern defense lines. The village is of high value due to its proximity to major supply routes, making it crucial for controlling logistical pathways. Similarly, Novocheretuvate is strategically important due to its location near the Mokry Yali River to the east. The river has long served as a natural barrier that defines the boundaries of defense and attack plans. Control over this village is significant not only in terms of crossing the river, but also for potential attempts to flank Ukraine's established defensive lines. For this reason, Ukraine continues to actively defend the region, responding immediately to any infiltration attempts. In March 2025, Russian forces claimed to have conducted intense attacks towards Skudne and taken control of the village. However, Ukrainian sources have questioned the accuracy of these reports, emphasizing that fighting continues in the area. The Ukrainian armed forces are strengthening their defense lines and resisting such attacks aimed at these villages. Kiev asserts that the occupation of these villages is often more about propaganda and establishing psychological superiority rather than achieving military success. Russia's claims of progress in these areas rarely reflect the actual situation and are intended to create the impression of battlefield dominance. One particularly notable element on the battlefield is Ukraine's effective use of FPV kamikaze drones. Russian forces, trying to advance in the villages' surrounding areas, have been hiding in trenches, wooded areas, and abandoned buildings. However, once these positions are detected by Ukrainian reconnaissance UAVs, FPV drones are quickly deployed. These drones, directed straight towards enemy positions, cause significant losses to Russian infantry and light armored vehicles with their explosive payloads.